Good morning and welcome to Wake Up Real Estate. We're back. We're back. Took a week off, recharge. Ryan was at a conference.
Did some stretches.
Doing some. Yep, he's limbering up. And excited to be back. We've got a full week of live shows lined up for you, and can't wait. We have a social post. Unfortunately, our special guest can't make it today. Well, I'll just address that real quick. So Chay McGee, who I teased as being a special guest today, talking about marketing with market statistics. He texted me about a half an hour, 45 minutes ago, said he and his daughter are both very sick. So that's a bummer. But we will definitely have him on as soon as he is feeling well. And number two, for those of you interested in and curious about that, this is a follow-up. Chay was on our mastermind last week. We didn't have the live shows, but we had a mastermind. We also had a great mortgage session, which I'll point everybody to in a minute as well. But we had our mastermind last week, and Chay was on there. Chay, quite honestly, he's not on there as frequently as I would like because he's so busy producing. He sells about 75 to 100 houses a year. And so he's usually so busy that he can't hop on our masterminds. But he was there last week. He was sharing several things, including part of his weekly routine, which is every Monday morning, digging into his market statistics. And then not just the two reasons why he does it. Number one, so he feels like he's knowledgeable and can confidently speak to what's going on in his market. And number two, he uses those statistics for marketing on Mondays. So he will take certain data points, for example, whatever the list to sale price is from the last month in a particular neighborhood or zip code or whatever. And then he'll go into his KV Core account, okay, his KV Core CRM. He'll pull up the sellers in that area and he'll send them a quick little update. Hey, if you're curious what's going on in the market here and blah, blah, blah. And so I was very excited, and I am still very excited to have him on to see exactly how he does that. And one of the reasons why I wanted to have him on is there is no lack of statistics that you can find in your MLS, right? But like, what do you focus on? How do you turn that into relevant information, or like, how do you relate it to the consumer in a way that they can understand? So we will definitely have Chay on. But if you'd like to go back and check out last week's mastermind, it is at wakeup.realestate in the tab, in the menu tab up at the top there, mastermind replays. And there was some other great stuff in there as well. But Chay talked about that process later in the session there, which prompted me to invite him on today, which again, my apologies. He was bummed as well, but he's just under the weather. And more importantly, his daughter, who's 10 or 11, she's feeling sick as well. So he's taking care of her today, but we'll follow up on that for sure. And we'll let everybody know when Chay is able to hop on. Tentatively, I'm going to say next Monday, because one of the reasons why I wanted to have him on today is it's part of his Monday workflow. Like it's part of his routine. Like it's how he kicks off the week, which is a wonderful way to get started.
Get the replay, Daphne.
Yeah, check out the replay. So Daphne says, man, I can't believe I missed the mastermind. Chay is always full of wisdom. He is, and it's coming from a place of real world application. He is a massive action taker, which is why he does so many deals. Why he closes so many transactions on a regular basis. Okay, Ryan, I believe you have a social post that we were going to kick the show off with. Look at this.
Well, actually, yeah. So here we go. This is the social post was the U.S. national debt. I took a video of U.S. debtclock.org, and then I had Chat GPT write me some stuff about hyperinflation. So I'm starting a week off with some good, happy-go-lucky, uplifting stuff.
Yay!
So But let's talk about this a little bit, guys. The debt's going up a lot, right? I actually think there's a silver lining here, Josh. And the rates are going up, as you know, being in the mortgage space, right?
Yep.
Doesn't seem to be slowing you down, though. You're producing anyway. Yep.
Stuff's happening. I mean, I'll just share 2 wins. I had an appointment. I'm getting a listing in my neighborhood. I was over there this morning getting the lockbox on and meeting with the sellers. And number 2, we got over the weekend, and she started an application this morning. She owns a home free and clear. She wants to cash out refi to consolidate some debt. And the reality is she's going to do a cash out FHA. And if she's at 7, it's going to be a lot lower than the consumer debt that she's consolidating.
Yeah,
so
there you go.
It's a net positive for her in that situation.
So rates are sitting at 7.5. I think a bank failed in PA, a Republic or something on Friday. This is just kind of like your macro Monday stuff. Josh, It seems to me like we're almost waiting for something to break to where they have to lower rates.
Yeah, I mean,
I think they're going to have to. Now, remember I was saying they couldn't? I think they're going to have to. They're going to have to. But either way, not to be a Debbie Downer, I'll share. I came back from the Unite conference last week in Charleston. Charleston's awesome, by the way. I don't know if you've been there, Josh.
That is someplace that we definitely like. My wife romanticizes about it just from pictures she's seen of it and from feedback we've heard from others. So we definitely need to get there.
It's a great place to go, just as a couple. I think it's really nice. But anyway, at the conference, there were a lot of people there who are producers. Naturally, people who go to conferences tend to be producers because they invest in their business, they spend some money, they get places. And the overall sentiment is that I came back jazzed, like I need to go sell a bunch of houses. The overall sentiment is that everything that's going on with the market and that's going on, this is stuff you talk about all the time too. Everything that's going on with the NAR decision is just opportunity for people who are going to hit it. And I'll just share, Tom Ferry was there doing his keynote. That guy got me all jazzed up. Everybody who knows, this industry is excited. And a lot of people are leaving.
That's what I was just going to say. To me, part of the excitement is that we're competing with fewer of us, right? There are less of us in it, which means your competition is probably the pros, right? So that's the drawback. But you have less of the amateurs getting in the way and mucking things up, because that's really, honestly, that's a lot of times what happens. Is the amateurs who just think this is easy and you don't have to be, a pro and know your stuff. They end up messing it up for us who are doing things the right way and treating it like, a profession and a business and not just a hobby.
And we're going through a cycle of the MLS dues coming for renewal. It's going to clean out a lot of people. One thing that I'll share, Josh, just around the NAR discussions, I think sentiment is that we're going to need to get really better about communicating our value proposition, especially when it comes to getting those buyer agency agreements signed. I'm looking forward to, with you, probably building some actual video sales funnels, maybe video sales letter around why.
I love that.
Why we should do buyer representation and stuff. Why you should sign the buyer agency a contract or whatever. So, that's just an update. Just for Motivation Monday, mortgage and motivation rates are still up. Might be a good thing. Like, things are hard out there. It's a good thing.
So along those lines, I mentioned this a couple of times, but I want to emphasize this even more because it's relevant to some of the things that Ryan just said. I mentioned how I'm getting this listing in my neighborhood. It started with an email and him asking about commission rates. Okay, so I was very transparent in my reply. It was a personal video reply. Okay, a personal video reply. I was very transparent. We never have, aren't currently, and won't in the future have fixed commission rates. Everything's negotiable. Part of my converting them from being curious and shopping for an agent, because they were, I demonstrated the value that I provide in a couple of different ways. One of them being, I just transparently showed the last 2 homes that I've sold in the neighborhood. I said I was complete open book. Here's what we listed it at. Here's what we sold it at. Here's what the commission was. Here's what I did to market it. It wasn't like I was making a sales pitch. I was literally just showing them, showing them. And so you may or may not be able to do that in every situation, but I think there are ways that you can find in most situations to do something along those lines to demonstrate why you are worth, the value you're proposing. For example, Daphne should be using, her video chops. Daphne is wonderful with video. If you don't know Daphne Bousquet Real Estate, she commented here, which is why I'm calling her out here. But she's got a wonderful YouTube channel, and that is a way that she can demonstrate value to potential clients. It's also, those are marketing assets working on her behalf, so that when they come to her, they're already kind of pre-sold anyway, right? So it's like it's a combination of two great things right there. I think I'm excited to do that as well, Ryan, build out assets that make it easier for us to communicate that value proposition that we provide.
You're going to need to be able to communicate, just like you did in a listing presentation, why it makes sense for somebody to sign a buyer agreement with you. So, and that's probably
that side of it. It could be telling the story, right? Storytelling of buyers you've represented and how you help them win, or help them achieve their dream, right? Like, what did you do? What were the things that you did? And never take for granted that the person you're trying to communicate this to, like, understands the process, right? So, like, we oftentimes assume or take for granted that the client, the buyer client, or the seller client, for that matter, that they understand all of the things that we do versus others, right? And so like communicating, this is how we find you the best financing. This is how we sift and sort out to find you the best properties. These are some of the strategies that we use to find off-market properties that might fit your criteria. Like, the more you can demonstrate and communicate and document what you do for your clients, all of that becomes great content and great evidence for future clients to want to work with you.
Yeah. And I'll share one other thing, Josh. An interesting idea that I heard there was the idea of having tiered packages around the buyer agency.
Oh, okay.
So the specifics around your deliverables is if you had a pricing chart, you were selling a product or something, or different levels of membership. Just putting that out there is something to think about, guys. Like, what will you do for X or X or X?
That would be a wonderful conversation for our mastermind. If not this week, sometime soon. I kind of see both sides of that. I like presenting options and letting folks choose on the one hand. And then on the other hand, I think, Well,
what if somebody only wants to commit? I'll give you an example. Somebody only wants to commit to you showing them properties for like a week so they can get to know you.
Okay. All right. So that,
maybe there's a retainer. I'm saying that you get into this area where it's, and I think we'll only know once we dig into this and see how buyers respond to these ideas. But you're not going to just go out and show one property anymore.
Right.
You kind of can't, because you got to throw the paper in front of them to do so. And it's so. Maybe you will. I don't know.
I don't know. It all. We're still so much on the front end of this. It's hard to know exactly where it all go. What I was trying to communicate, and I'm not doing a good job of it, is I've been someone that had been intrigued and even used levels of service on the seller side, and the opposing viewpoint to that is, wouldn't I want to provide the same level of service to all sellers, because that's part of my brand?
Yeah.
And so that's where I get that's why I would love to have a mastermind conversation about this, because I would love to hear opposing viewpoints and folks making the case for either one.
Yeah, and you can do it, take it or leave it. Josh, do you have a video sales letter for your listing services out there right now?
I don't. The only thing I have, and this is old at this point, I should probably polish it up. I have a video. It's it's like a video sales letter with like 11 ways we maximize exposure, when marketing a listing. And I think I've even positioned it in a way that it's not, this is how we do, but this is how you can maximize, here's 11 ways to maximize exposure. So it's not even, the idea was I could give that to a for sale by owner, for example, in a way to like position it that, they come to the conclusion of, well, maybe I should hire this person because I'm not going to do all of these 11 things. Beyond that, though, I don't have. What I usually do is a personal video, and I try to cater it to their situation. But having a presentation like that communicates the value proposition,
and maybe these days, maybe explains, buyer agents what's going on with commissions. Because I know some people are like, "Oh, I heard you. I heard it's cheaper now." That's probably the conversation.
Right. Yeah, I mean, people think because of the sensational headlines and nonsense and in reality, a lot of it being sort of fake news on some level, you get all kinds of interpretations by the consumer. It should make for some interesting conversations for us all over the coming weeks and months, with people just having, whether it's misconceptions or misunderstandings or just flat out, nonsensical opinions about what it means. And so the more you can document, demonstrate, and communicate the value and explain things of what's actually happening in reality, the better off you will be. So yeah.
Well, let's leave that at that. I think this is a good tidy episode for today, right?
Yep.
Is there anything else?
Get back into the swing of things.
Yeah. So tomorrow you'll probably have a text. I got that interesting traffic thing I shared with you this morning.
Yes.
So we'll share something interesting around on the traffic front tomorrow morning.
Yep. Two good things. I will say that the text script I'm going to share is a recycled one, but it's one of those that works great every time we use it. And the reason it popped up again is, Mike, we have some clients that we help with, marketing and converting their database. And it's the script we're using this week at his recommendation. And it's actually one that Ryan came up with, if I'm being honest. It was one of Ryan's scripts, and it's worked like gangbusters. And I think it's a perfect timing for it, given the time of year as well. So we'll have that tomorrow. We'll keep everyone posted as far as when we can get Shay on. I'm targeting next Monday. In the meantime, you can check out last week's mastermind session. Shay was on there. He shared a couple of nice little gold nuggets, including the marketing with market statistics. And one other thing I mentioned briefly at the beginning, but I didn't close the loop on, is last week, Jordan and I did an info session on assumable mortgages, closed-end seconds, and HELOCs, and how you can use them to close more deals. And I would say that everything going on in the market, you probably want to get educated on those concepts, because you are likely to have those questions or questions around those topics come up from both potential sellers and potential buyers. And so you want to be able to speak intelligently about those topics. And so it was a great session. I thought it was a great session, but not just that. We've gotten some great feedback from folks that were not only there live, but folks that have watched the replay. It is a bit longer, but it's a meaty topic, and one that I think will help you, have more educated conversations when this topic comes up. And I do believe with everything that's going on, it's going to be topic that comes up more frequently here in the coming weeks and months. So I would highly recommend to check that out as well. Let's make it a great week, and we'll see everybody back here, same time, same place, tomorrow morning. Actually, I'm sorry, 10 a.m. back to our normal time slot. We had adjusted today to accommodate Shay, but 10 a.m. 10 a.m. tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. Eastern tomorrow morning. And as always, if you missed the live, you can check out the recording immediately after. Ryan?
Perfect. I heard it's hot up there. I'm flying up.
Woo! It is toasty, man. It felt almost like winter on Saturday, and then just went straight to August yesterday. Wow. So
I'll catch you from the PA offices tomorrow morning.
Let's go. All right.
See ya.
Thanks all.